Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored in part by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. So today we're going to be playing with another one of Matt H's deck lists, and a couple of the ones he has submitted have been absolute bangers. So today we're going to take a look at Jund Shamans, and I want to start by saying I think there's a deck building problem with this, but I like a lot of what's here. So this is a deck that I've played a couple of times on this channel. Essentially, it is a deck built entirely around the card Rage Forger. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on each other Shaman creature you control, and whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, you may have that creature deal 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. So the idea is to double up with those triggers via Harmonic Prodigy, and if you get 2 +1/+1 counters on all of your creatures, and when they attack, you get, 2 extra damage directly to the player for each creature that's attacking, it adds up quickly to become a kill. Now, there's some interesting changes to this deck list, and that is a very light splash for the color black for Judith. Now, one of the big complaints about the Rage Forger deck, the Shaman Tribal deck, in my comments in previous videos has been, hey, the deck doesn't have enough finishers, and Judith is supposed to do that. Like Rage Forger, it increases the amount of damage that you're attacking for, although the secondary portion isn't quite as good as on Rage Forger, because the creature has to die in order to get that extra damage. But it does mean that alpha attacking is pretty good. And it also does have Clattering Augur, which is a 1/1 that can't block. It's got kind of the Phyrexian Rager ability on it of, like, draw a card, lose a life when it ETBs. It can be returned from graveyard, but realistically, I don't really expect to be able to do that ever throughout this league. Another thing that people have kind of requested is that I play Allosaurus Shepherd to make my green spells uncounterable, because of how good Collected Company is. Collected Company, digging 6 deep, potentially finding you the Rage Forger, Harmonic Prodigy, whatever at the same time, can be very, very strong, so we don't want that to just be countered for 1 mana with a Daze or something like that. Okay, so here is what I think the problem with the deck list is. I don't think this deck is supposed to be an Aether Vial deck list, because Collected Company is your best card. And Aether Vial is not a creature. It doesn't work with Collected Company. And it's also not a land that lets you cast Collected Company. So I imagine that I'm probably going to end up wanting to get rid of these Aether Vials. And for that reason, I'm going to play the leagues with this deck in the tournament practice room today, so that I can make some mid-league adjustments. Because I don't think these belong. But I like a lot of the other stuff that's here. Just playing some generically good cards like Endurance to help out with things like the Blue-Red Delver matchup and your K1 matchup versus Reanimator, I think is pretty reasonable. As far as the sideboard goes here, there's a couple spicy cards you might not recognize, Plague Crafter being one of them. Notably, this is a trigger, right? So this is something that, for good or bad, can be doubled with Harmonic Prodigy. And the other one you might not recognize is Careless Celebrant, which, when it dies, it deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. This card doesn't make the most sense to me, because it's not like I'm just sitting on a sacrifice outlet to be able to fling that and double the triggers or anything like that. But if it's a card that's just going to alpha strike in, when you have Judith or Rage Forger, maybe it's still fine. With that being said, I think we're just going to go ahead and jump into the matches and see how they feel with this changed version. Maybe we'll make some adjustments, and maybe I'll be wrong and the Aether Vials are good, and we'll just play this deck for 5 rounds. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Okay, I'm going to keep this hand. While it doesn't have a turn 1 play, it has a turn 2 play, a turn 3 play, and a turn 4 play. And like the lands to do all of those things. I'm going to hope that's reasonable enough. Alright, that is a Sylvan Safekeeper. We are probably playing against like a Naya Merit Lodge deck, if I were to guess. Oh wow, another Collected Company. Assuming that I don't get Wastelanded into Oblivion, this hand's pretty good. But I don't have... oh, an Abundant Harvest. Finding Titania. Oh shit, it's Applejacks instead. My all was incorrect. Alright, so I'll take 1 damage. So the idea here is that my opponent can use Sylvan Safekeeper, sacrifice all of their lands to create a 5/3 elemental for each land they can sacrifice, and that's going to be really strong. Am I a basic land deck? I imagine no, right? Yeah, I only have forests and mountains. Alright, let's do some fetching. Do like a Bayou, maybe fetch a Badlands in addition to that. Play my Clattering Augur. And notably, this creature cannot block. Okay, opponent is a coward. I will absolutely be keeping this hand. Got a very respectable hand here. Turn 3 Collected Company with Harmonic Prodigy in play, in theory, is quite good. Alright, Flooded Strand is a pretty interactive land. Given how many lands I have, I think I'm just going to try to play on basics for as long as I can. Let's just grab a forest and play an Ignoble Hierarch here. See what our opponent has to say. Second controlling looking land. Ooh, Goblin and Archaeomancer. I can play that and Harmonic Prodigy this turn, actually. Assuming my stuff actually resolves. Mountain here. Play Goblin and Archaeomancer. Play Harmonic Prodigy. Cry when my opponent casts Brainstorm Indeterminus. Ooh, that was good enough to get a Force of Will. That's fine, because I just get Collected Company next turn. Alright, no cracking the fetch lands, no casting any actual spells from my opponent yet. Ooh, that is an island. That is nice. Ooh, that's a Rage Forger. I save that for after Collected Company. Guess I'll attack in for 3. And I hope that that goes well. And cast Collected Company later. I just don't want to like play that into Force of Negation, since my opponent did just show me a Force of Negation. Huh? Are we playing against High Tide? Is that what's happening here? Alright, there is a Brainstorm. Very fast Brainstorm. Uh-huh. Okay. I don't know exactly what's going on, folks. I will attempt a Coco. Ooh. Harmonic Prodigy. Clattering Augur. Put those onto the battlefield. Throw the rest of those back in my deck. I do get double triggers from the Augur. Alright, my Prodigy is eating a Swords to Plowshares. He'll get both my cards. Really good. And I cast Coco and Rage Forger. Alright, so there's no longer a Terminus potentially on top of my opponent's deck, which is good. Uh-huh. Mystic Sanctuary. Is that just going to put Swords to Plowshares back on top? And put Brainstorm back on top. Sure. I think I'm just going to let that happen rather than cast Endurance. I could cast a Coco right now, actually. And see if I randomly hit an Endurance. Don't actually mind that. Oh shit, I did. Alright, Harmonic Prodigy and Endurance. Rest can go back in any order. Endurance. Nuke your graveyard. Now I'm going to get an uncounterable Rage Forger. Shaman. Oh, this is sick. Yeah. Yeah. Cooking with gas. I'm only attacking with 2 creatures, but I get... Nice. Nope. Once all of these are on the stack, can I just save targets? Save targets. Always yes. Always yield. Yeah, so that's 4 initial damage from the Rage Forger, putting my opponent to 9, and then they take 7 more from the combat damage step. Very nice. Basically, unless there's like Terminus or Supreme Verdict, I don't see myself losing. Very nice. My opponent played so few spells in the first couple of turns. I don't really know if I'm sideboarding. Like, Fire Blast is maybe okay. Eternal Witness is maybe okay. I guess Seasoned Pyromancer is a lot worse if it's not going to die, and it's going to get exiled. Let's make a 1-for-1 swap like that, and just call it good. Okay, this will be a game where I can see exactly how good the Aether Vial actually is going to be. I keep my hand full with things like Clattering Augurs and Elvish Visionaries. Like, it might not actually be bad. Alright. Take another land out of the deck here. Grab a vial. Feels like that's supposed to just eat a prismatic ending, though. Okay, there's a basic plains. And prismatic ending, kind of as expected. Gonna get a... Well, I guess I don't have to get the black this turn, because I'd rather... Actually, true. Would I rather play this turn than this? I'd rather kind of play the Augur. Yeah, let's play the Augur, getting a bad lands. This is a great example of, like, a card, like, that's not normally legacy playable, just, like, slotting in perfectly into some niche shell to do something cool. I need to refresh myself on this. I name Shaman. I can cast Shamans from the top of my library. Not bad. Alright, another land drop from my opponent. Maybe a Teferi or a Narset would make sense. Okay, yep. See what they find off the minus. Swords to Plowshares. So, if I play Rage Forger on my turn, I can put a +1/+1 counter on this. Attack. The trigger can hit Planeswalkers, and I can use that to kill Narset. I think I'm into that. It's not the best use of my Rage Forger, because, like, I do want that to just be a I'm going to kill you card. But denying my opponent a card on this board, pretty good. Rage Forger pokes Narset. Yes. Alright, I kill the Planeswalker. I've got a respectable board in play. I'd like Find Collected Company. Realmwalker can be okay in terms of card advantage, but I'm not super expecting my stuff to just cleanly stick around. Goodbye Rage Forger, goodbye Rage Forger, and goodbye Augur as well. Absolutely. I wonder if the Ponder was supposed to happen before those things. Or if the Ponder was even supposed to happen this turn, actually. Might just be better next turn. I don't really have anything to double with Harmonic Prodigy right now. This is going to snag me a mountain. I'm going to respect the fact that some sort of back to basics type card could exist in my opponent's deck. I'll play a Goblin, an Archaeomancer, and I think I'm just going to play one card to the board here. Shaman. I do have to pay the mana cost for this. But I don't think I'm super interested in, like, going as hard as I possibly could and playing, like, Harmonic Prodigy and Ignoble Hierarch in this turn cycle. For this exact reason. Like, it's a random Terminus, but, like, it could have just been a Supreme Verdict as well, right? Alright, goodbye, folks. Another 3-mana card. Okay, it's a Teferi. That's fine. They're just going to plus. Can't do end of turn endurance anymore. I think I am fine with playing 2 cards out here. And I think it's these two. Notably, I do not have access to triple green at the moment. I did opt to get a mountain earlier. Be a little wary of fetch lands moving forward because of Mystic Sanctuary. My opponent has 2 basic plains right now. No shuffle. White. That was a prismatic ending that was paid for improperly. That's not how that card works. So, prismatic ending is number of colors spent. So my opponent spent white, which left them in that position. Love to draw a land here. That's kind of like a land. I'd like to kill this Teferi this turn, which means playing an Ignoble Hierarch. I do wish I had access to triple green right now. I shouldn't have played around a back to basics like effect earlier. I think I will play out an Ignoble Hierarch as well as the Harmonic Prodigy. This means that if my... Ooh. I got another Teferi. Alright, so let's see if my opponent's last card is Swords to Plowshares. Their last card is not Swords to Plowshares. This Teferi is dead. I have a Rage Forger to start doing cool things as of next turn. I'm not going to get the Rage Forger Harmonic Prodigy Wombo combo. Other Teferi? A Jace? A Jace. It's not actually all that scary since I have Rage Forger. Now my opponent's... Oh... Okay, it's a prismatic ending, which isn't going to stop Rage Forger from killing Jace, unfortunately for them. So I will play Rage Forger. It's a +1/+1 counter on my Hierarch. Go to combat. We'll attack Jace. The Rage Forger will deal damage to Jace. And then my Exalted trigger is going to happen, meaning that I do get to kill Jace. So I am afraid of my opponent's the top card of my opponent's library being Terminus. Or I guess also Fetch Land at this point can slowly get a Terminus. Hydroblast is fine. Alright. Let that Vial tick up. It has no cards in hand. I'm fine with casting this. Actually, maybe I'm not. Maybe I just want to attack, deal 2 damage, and then hold up Endurance. And I'll just put this in with Vial next turn. Yeah, upon thinking about it more, I think I like that better. Opponent drops to 16. Guess it's a little awkward if my opponent's card here is specifically Force of Will. I didn't just do this earlier. Okay, that's good enough for the concession. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website for Magic the Gathering, but they do a lot more than that. In addition to just deck building, you can also use it as a collection tracker, keeping track of what versions of cards you own, their condition, language, and even price, although that can sometimes be a little bit scary. So if you're looking for a website that can kind of do it all at once, please consider checking out Moxfield. They support my content. Alright, I'm going to be keeping this hand. I'm not exactly sure whether or not I want to play Cavern of Souls out on turn 1. But my opponent's going first, so I can probably get a feel for what they're doing before I make any of my own decisions. Oh, I guess since this spell can't be countered, that's actually a moot point, right? Like, I can just lead on Forest 100% of the time. Bayou could be a Dark Depths deck of some kind. Could be Elves, but it would be super weird for Elves not to have a turn 1 play. Are you gonna Fatal Push me? Oh. Entomb for Unburial Rights. Are we playing against Tin Fins? Uh-huh. Crack. There's... Oh, okay, I know what we're playing against now. I think this deck is called, like, 2-card Monty. It has, like, Stage Depths, the Reanimation packages, LEDs, some Tutors. It's kind of an all-in combo deck that attacks from a couple of different angles. My opponent gonna go for another 7 cards. They are. I don't think I beat this deck. How are my sideboard options versus these things? I guess Plaguecrafter is good. I am going to let Thoughtseize resolve. There are some worlds where I could technically win this game still. Rage Forger is a lot of direct damage. If I were to top deck like Harmonic Prodigy into Rage Forger, things could look good for me. Alright, my opponent took my 2-drop. How can I return this? 4 mana. Okay, that's not happening before I'm dead. Okay, yeah, there is a Children of Corliss package in there as well. There's that Harmonic Prodigy that I was just talking about. I actually probably didn't want to play this, right? Because this isn't actually a Shaman. Alright. I was just supposed to fetch maybe a basic mountain there. Alright, let's see what sort of awful, no good things my opponent can do to me. Alright, there's a Scrubland, the white being for Children of Corliss, and maybe some sideboard options. Like 7 here. Opponent can gain 7. Nope, okay, we're just going in. And we'll see what happens. And exhume. I lose 2 here. I get some more cards. Fortunately, it's not endurance. My opponent will now sacrifice Children of Corliss to gain 7. They can draw another 7 cards. And if they find a way to bring Children of Corliss back, the next time they do that, they can get 14 life instead. Okay, yep, there's an exhume. That is exactly what's going to happen. And now children get sacrificed. My opponent goes up to 18. They draw another 7. Note that something like a Tendrils of Agony at this point could come out and murder me. 2 mana. We're exhuming. My opponent will presumably sacrifice. Casually go to 32. There's the last draw 7 that they can do. They've got 2 cards remaining in library. But presumably they have enough mana to just storm kill me at this point. Like, they have all the mana, all the storm in the world. Green mana. Alright, there's Living Wish. Now my opponent can crack 3 Lion's Eye Diamonds. Seems like we're just going to do a Thassa's Oracle here. Just kill me that way. Alright. Shallow Grave. Doing a skim here. It doesn't... Oh, okay. Laboratory Maniac instead. Yeah, same sort of thing. So in case you're not familiar with this one, if you draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game. So Thorn of Amethyst is okay. Plague Crafters are fine. Not overly exciting. I'm gonna make room for 5 cards here. I think I'm not overly excited about Aether Vial. I'm also not overly excited about Allosaurus Shepherd, but like it's straight up just a Shaman that I can try to use Raid for, like try to go, 1, 2, 3 into Rage Forger. But I think this matchup is probably determined quickly enough that I can do something that looks like that and have that be okay. This is fine. It's a little bit awkward because I probably don't want to play Allosaurus Shepherd out on turn 1 so that I can have Endurance up. But in theory, playing Thorn into Thorn is probably going to be pretty good versus this deck. Now, if they just like make a Merit Lodge in a turn or 2, not exactly going to be great for me. Alright, that's certainly not bad. I will be grabbing some non-basics here. Grab a Bayou with 1. I go with the other so that I'm working towards green for hard casting and endurance. Ooh. Opponent's moving to end step here. Oh, nope. Okay, they're just playing a cheeky second main phase land. See what they got. Basic Swamp. They're going to have to fetch again if they want to play a lot of their cards. Although they could... 1 random fetch. A little weird. I'll play Clattering Augur and try to hit another land drop. If I hit a green land drop, I can play Allosaurus Shepherd this turn. Whiff. So I have the graveyard covered, but I don't have the battlefield covered. Not to mana to cast Plague Crafter for if my opponent can just like make a Merit Lodge. Okay. Let's fetch. I'm just gonna grab a basic to keep more fetch lands in my deck here. Back for a whopping 1 point of damage. And I think I'm supposed to play this out, despite the fact that I have a Collected Company in my hand that I very much would like to cast. My opponent has like rituals and artifact mana in their deck. I also kind of think that my opponent's supposed to crack this and copy another land with Thespian Stage at end of turn. Could be wrong. Oh, please make this at sorcery speed. They did not. So I can go ahead and attack in and try to bait my opponent. Yeah. They did not bite. Means they'll make this at end of turn. And I'll have to use Endurance to chump block for a turn. And then I can play Plague Crafter. Alright, you get your Merit Lodge. Losing those 2 lands, though, means that these Thorns are going to hit very hard as this game continues. Alright, Merit Lodge crashes in. I cast Endurance. Nuke your graveyard. In case that matters for, you know, a Cabal ritual. No, I saw your deck. You don't have a Cabal ritual. Alright. Another Dark Depths. I don't really like seeing that. Opponent doesn't like have the mana to Thoughtseize me or anything, so do have that going for me. I'll attack with my Augur. Opponent drops to 15, and I can play Plague Crafter. And we're each going to have to Edict. My opponent sacrifices a little bit better of a creature than I do. And I think I'm okay with just playing this creature out. In worlds where I get a Rage Forger, I want an extra creature in play. In the world where I find another Plague Crafter, I also want to have things that I can reasonably sacrifice. Opponent is making a play. See what they've got. Basically got to be a 1-mana thing or a 0-mana thing. Yeah, it seems like my opponent might have miscounted their mana. Alright, cool stuff. I'll crash in for 4 points of damage. Opponent goes to 10. Fetch a land out of my deck. And then go red, green, play this, and then for 2 mana I can cast an Endurance. And next turn I can play a free combat Collected Company and try to kill my opponent by finding Rage Forger. I guess end of turn I can just cast the Endurance if my opponent doesn't force me to use it earlier. Then I have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage. I only need to find a single point of damage off of Collected Company. I do miss some portion of the time, but seems like good enough EV that I just go for it. Yeah, let's just go for it. That land back in your deck. I guess if I drew a land, I could also just activate this ability. Alright, here's a Collected Company. Didn't get my 1 point of damage. But there's a Prodigy and an Augur, which is very good. For the rest of those on the bottom in any order. Noble Hierarch doesn't change my damage this turn. So this is 9. I don't think I can get like Stormkilled or anything through Thorns. And I think I have enough damage on board that I'll just beat a Grizzlebrand if my opponent plays one. Okay, cool. I don't really believe I have any sideboard changes to make here. My hand's a little slow, but I have Endurance to stop the graveyard-based shenanigans, and like I have one of the best cards in my deck in my hand. I think I'll just keep this hand. Mana Dork would be a great draw here. Just speeding everything up by a turn matters a lot. Alright, that is a Grief. Pitching Entomb. I don't think my opponent should have played their land out prior to playing Grief. That feels like a mistake to me. Alright, goodbye Endurance. Opponent's chilling. That's not bad. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and fetch a land out of my deck now. Difference between 19 and 20 life should be pretty much 0. I'd rather not draw more lands as of right now. I guess the thing that I'm most scared of is my opponent going Dark Depths and LED. Yep. Don't think I'm on any outs to that. Can't cast this yet. So I think I need to just hold up mana, bluffing something. And if my opponent goes for it, which pretty much 100% likely to do. Yeah. I will concede that that does beat me here. GG's. Okay, this doesn't have enough mana. That one's going to be an auto mulligan. This one also doesn't have enough mana. Hand's good enough that I'd almost consider risking it. If I get to play Harmonic Prodigy into Clattering Augur, it's just incredibly good, but I think I'd rather just go to 5. Yeah, and I would like much rather this be a land here. I think these Collected Companies just have to go. This is an incredibly risky hand, because Prismatic Ending, Force of Will, Force of Negation, Abrupt Decay, anything like that tears this hand apart. Alright. Badlands Aether Vial. We 100% look like goblins right now. My opponent mulliganed to 5, which makes me nervous that they're a combo deck, because I have just no game versus combo right now. Oh? Yeah, you can play a Chalice on 1. Oh, that's much scarier than a Chalice on 1. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What are we gonna do? Are we gonna Emery? 5 mana? Oh, shit, it's Hornfell. Okay, so we are playing against, like, a Ruby Storm deck of some kind. This... I don't think my opponent was supposed to, discard their card there. I think they were supposed to wait a turn. They had some mana sources untapped. Alright. I'm not doing anything this turn. My opponent may need a few turns to kind of, rebuild. I don't think they're supposed to just go as quickly as humanly possible here. File goes up. How do I want to do this? I think I'm going to try and hit a land drop with this draw. If I do that, I have a much, much, much stronger turn next turn. Alright, there is a Harmonic Prodigy. And next turn, I can play Clattering Augur, draw 2 cards, play Seasoned Pyromancer. Okay. Those aren't the cards they're looking for. Alright. Done it again. Yeah, and they've whiffed again. I don't think my opponent's under that much pressure. So, like, they can play out that mana, but I don't really think they had to start going there. You can play your defense grid. You can play your Mox Opal if you want one more card in graveyard instead of in exile. Which looks like they do. Do I want to pick up this vial or not? I think I do. Then I can play... Ooh. Just do Seasoned Pyromancer like 3 fucking times. Okay. Yeah. Guess I don't need to do this at sorcery speed. I don't need to let my opponent know how many things are going to be attacked by next turn. The whole Seasoned Pyromancer thing with the Augur is cool. Gamble, huh? Gamble finds Echo is bad. It's gonna go straight to my opponent's graveyard. Not gonna have a chance to disrupt that way. Yeah, there it is. I believe that I am supposed to do this here. Yes. Seasoned Pyromancer. Which happens 3 times. Discard, draw. Discard, draw. Discard, draw. There's an Endurance. Do I want to nuke these cards from my opponent's deck? It is a lot of my opponent's mana. Alternatively, I can... Or no, these aren't going to exile, these are just going to library anyway. Guess that doesn't matter. I don't have a Rage Forger. If I find a Rage Forger, I probably have lethal next turn. Opponent discarded a Galvanic Relay. They found a Burgie. I'm probably dead here. This is a shame, because this was coming together very well for a mulligan to 5. Alright. There it is again. Alright, Mox Opal. Opponent hasn't played a land drop yet, notably. A relay? A relay. Mox doesn't tap for mana, there's nothing under it. Okay, there's more discards. An Ancient Tomb. Ancient Tomb's good enough to get the Burgie into play. Storm counter's not showing up quite yet. There it is. That's Grim Monolith into Burgie. Okay, yep, as expected. Alright, Hornfell finds Echo, but probably not the mana to cast that. Oh no, they will. Or no, yeah, it's Mox Opal. They have 1, 2, 3, 6 after sacking LED. Yeah, okay, they have exactly enough to cast another Echo. Okay, there is a gamble. We'll find an Echo. I can save the other Echo in graveyard. This is the very boring point of the game versus this deck where, like, I'm like 90% sure that I'm dead. but if my opponent fizzles, I almost certainly win the game. Oh, they didn't crack their LED there. That might have been a mistake. Judith is good. Judith bumps all creatures generically, so that's going to include the elemental tokens. Okay. I think at this point I'm going to update you all as notable things happen here. Okay. My opponent activated Hornfell a bunch of times and found Burning Wish. Burning Wish finds Tendrils, and I am 100% dead. Yeah, there's the Tendrils. I will concede. Alright. Thorn is good. Rex Sage is playable. Gorilla Shaman is playable. Meltdown is good. Seeds is good. I don't think I want Plague Crafter. I think my Vials are actively good in this matchup. Probably don't want Allosaurus Shepherd. I don't really know that I want to try to fight over the graveyard with Endurance. Realmwalker seems very slow. It's so hard to get Endurance to actually stop an Echo Vions due to how priority works. I think I'm going to go ahead and board like this. Awkward playing Aether Vial alongside Seeds of Innocence, but it is what it is. This is not enough mana. Auto Mulligan. This is not enough mana. Auto Mulligan. I think the Aether Vials are hitting the chopping block after this game. Yeah, like, how much better is this hand if this is just another land? On 5 cards, I'm going to keep this. Yeah, Pyromancer goes back. File goes back. So, goes on Shaman. That I can play out. And Ignoble Hierarch. And I don't actually have the second green for Seeds of Innocence as of right now. Alright, there's an Ancient Tomb. Oh, are we going now? If you're going now, I cannot stop you. Printing Overmaster. Rite of Flame. Overmaster. Opal. They're still playing cards, so presumably they're still... Okay, yeah. That's very good. Oh, there's an empty Lawarren's coming. And I've missed my land drop so that I can't do this and take out all these mana sources. Let's try to hit that land drop. I think it's very bad if I don't. I haven't mapped it out yet, but I imagine I just automatically lose to double empty the Warrens. Especially since LED can just, like, be very easily used to cast those from exile. Alright, Grim Monolith happens. Then there will be Rite of Flame, Chrome Mox, LED, double empty the Warrens. Yeah, I believe I have no outs to that. My opponent easily has enough mana to cast both of those things. Yeah, alright, I'm gonna move on. Let's make some adjustments. Alright, I have made very minimal changes to my deck here. I added in 2 lands, 1 Clattering Augur, and 1 Noble Hierarch to replace the Aether Vials, and I added 2 Surgical Extractions to the sideboard. Otherwise, my deck is still exactly the same. Sure. It's a little slower than I would like, but I can't always have one of my 5 accelerators on turn 1. I think this is still okay. It has relevant play into haymakers. Not very good at dealing with, like, a large Urza Saga or Kappa Cannoneer. Specifically, green spells can't be countered, which is relevant. Like Bayou Taiga, maybe. Want both of these to produce green. I am going to go ahead and take my draws here. I would like to find a 2-drop to play next turn so that I can play something with Allosaurus Shepherd and then curve that into Collected Company. So I would like to play around, like, Force of Will and Force of Negation if possible. Palace on 1 is fine. This can't be countered. Alright, Petal is fine. Opponent started to play something else and then stopped. I'm just going to play Judith here. I think I'll just play Judith here. It's pretty reasonable setup if it works, and if it doesn't work, it takes 2 blue cards out of my opponent's hand, and then hopefully a collected company just resolves next turn anyway. Alright, it has resolved, which is nice. So between Ancient Tomb and these onboard creatures, I'm off to a very good start. That is a lot of mana. Alright, that's kind of what I thought my opponent might have since they started to play something and then stopped. Alright, there's an Opal. There's a Thoughtcast. Yeah, it's a little scarier to try and just play a collected company now. Is this any target? 1 damage to any target. So I think my turn looks like this. Put this on Shaman. Cast this. Guard one of each of these. Play out the Allosaurus Shepherd, which ignores Chalice of the Void. And would I trade Augur for Thought Monitor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6th artifact. No, I don't think I'm interested in that trade. I can just make that trade next turn when it's more profitable for me. See what my opponent has to do here. Oh, that's scary. That's a lot of chump blockers. Something that I very much did not want to happen. I'm trying to kill my opponent next turn. I mean, a Rage Forger will pretty much just do it, though. Alright, there's an Urza Saga, so there's definitely some immediacy now. Alright, no attacks from my opponent. There's an Ignoble Hierarch. I guess I should just cast that prior to the collected company for Rage Forger purposes. My doubly uncounterable spell. And let's spin the wheels with collected company. Harmonic Prodigy, Rage Forger. Hell yeah. Riggers. Always yield. I believe this is what they say math is for blockers. I would like to declare attacks. Target you. Oh, do I have to manually click through these the first time? Yeah. That was a heck of a Coco. Okay, so Seeds, Rex Sage, Meltdown, Gorilla Shaman all seem great. What don't I want? And also, do I want Plague Crafters to try to answer Kappa Cannoneers? And do I want to actually try and fight over my opponent's graveyard? I feel like this is cuttable. I feel like I'm trying to attack the artifacts in play, not my opponent's graveyard. And then from here, like, Seasoned Pyromancer is something that could go, but it helps me dig towards these 5 sideboard cards, which feels kind of important. I could play Pyroblast, though. Pyroblast feels kind of strong. Assuming my opponent doesn't Chalice, which I think I would sideboard out Chalice if I were them. Assuming they don't Chalice, this is just another way to answer Kappa Cannoneer or some Draw 2, or Emery for that matter. Maybe I do still cut these. Still leaves me at 30 for collected company. My mana doesn't work here. I also think, given how strong those like random 5 sideboard cards I have are, I don't think I keep a super mediocre 7, because I can just draw shit like this. This is a keep. I love every single card in my hand. I think I toss back the Coco, but I'm not sure on that. I think I just hope that playing this into this just kind of is enough for me to... Ooh, that's very good. Hopefully the Seeds of Innocence just answers that, though. Alright, they are going to crack both baubles. They've seen my Clattering Augur, which is fine. They get their 2 cards in upkeep. Totally happy with that draw. I think I'm just going to play a fetch land and pass. I'll do probably uncounterable Harmonic Prodigy next turn. Oh my god. A lot of shit. Uh-huh. Yeah, play all these things out. Seeds of Innocence is going to be really fucking good. Ignoble Hierarch. Always fetching. Probably grabbing Taiga. I play Goblin and Archaeomancer this turn. Name Shaman. Play this out. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. My opponent will make a construct token. The cost of their Lotus Petal, because they do not have Metalcraft. Now this means that they can't make a construct with the first Urza Saga here. Although they may end up making one with the second one. Finding a Lotus Petal. Metalcraft is a thing now. Dismember. Very strong. Take some damage here. Do I cast Seeds now? If I cast Seeds now, my opponent will have a 1/1 Urza Saga construct token. I would honestly rather cast it next turn and just clean up both Urza Sagas and all the shit that they get out there. Just gives my opponent another chance to draw Force of Will, though. But I think I'm into it. Let's... Actually, this is Force of Will bait, because this is not uncounterable. This is actually very good. Yeah, it resolved. Alright, so the Lotus Petal goes for another construct. And my opponent can float a mana. It can't make yet another construct token. Presumably just finding something like a Shadow Spear, although I guess it could be like a Spell Bomb too. But it is the Shadow Spear. Petal. These are big constructs, like this is going to be a lot of damage. Oh, that is a Brazen Borrower. That's fine. Again, every card that is not Force of Will here is good for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total mana. Which means that I can attempt this again and give my opponent a new opportunity to Force of Will it. And then we attempt the big one. This is the win or lose moment of this match. Alright, and that is good patience from my opponent in not countering the Harmonic Prodigy that I baited them with twice. I'm going to go ahead and lead here. That's fine. I think I'm happy enough with this. Sure. Meltdown's very good. And, like, I have Rage Forger and Collected Company and Rex Sage on top of that. 3 lands. Like, do I wish I had some other stuff here? Yeah. But I think this is good enough. Bobble is fine. Emery's very good and insulates versus Meltdown quite a bit. Yeah, Emery Bobble, very much a thing. That gives me something to do this turn. Let's find some lands. Taiga can be one of them. And Bayou probably for the other. And let's attempt Harmonic Prodigy. Opponent did not want to crack their Bobble immediately, so they care about their artifact count. Figured out why. Fuck. This is quite bad for me. I guess in the worlds where my opponent doesn't have counterspells, it'll work out okay. I've seen my Collected Company, and they've seen my Rage Forger. I haven't seen my cards that matter. I would love to draw Cavernous Souls this turn. I did not. Let's attempt to double Rex Sage. Be very good if it works. Oh, it did work. Rex Sage blows up Urza Saga. Rex Sage, I think, blows up the land after that. Kaboom. More other kaboom. And I'd love to draw a land so that I can play Rage Forger into a Meltdown for 0. Sounds quite nice. I think Rage Forger is currently more important than Meltdown. My opponent just has the side of the deck that's very resilient versus Meltdown. Yeah, I think I'm mostly just looking to dodge counterspells, because all 3 of these cards are quite potent. Honestly, with Meltdown probably being the worst of them, which is a weird thing to say. Petty Theft, Bouncing Harmonic Prodigy. A pretty big tempo hit for me. Yep. I also don't have double red. Alright, opponent has seen Rage Forger. I'm going to take 2 points of damage, which is fine. I get to draw a card from Bauble. Pyroblast. That is a very good card that's incredibly awkward right now because I don't have access to double red. Or, for that matter, something that I can cast with Bayou Forest. I think I just redeploy this and call it a turn. But I'm very much losing ground here because my opponent is getting an extra card each turn from Emery. I'm not stopping that. I have the cards necessary to win this game, like, very easily. But I don't have the mana to deploy them, which is the problem. Alright, what did Emery just target? Alright, Emery targets Bauble. I think on my next turn, basically no matter what, I have to cast Meltdown. Just because the number of Thopters here are starting to get out of control. Like, I'm comfortable taking 3 or 4 damage this turn. I'm not comfortable taking 5 or more damage from Thopters the next turn. Then Otawara bouncing my Harmonic Prodigy is a very good tempo play here. Fuck, it's Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah. I'm just going to lose to that. Very unfortunate that my opponent had both Emery and Psy when I kept my hand based on the strength of Meltdown. Like, I got to double Reclamation Sage 2 of my opponent's lands, and it just didn't matter because of this combination. I've missed on a land drop again. So I can Meltdown and destroy, well, what? I can destroy 8 permanents for 1 mana, and I don't think it matters. I'm going to attempt to stay in this game by doing so. Alright, I'm comfortable conceding there with that happening. GG's. Alright, final round here. I'll absolutely be keeping my hand. Like, this is very strong. Like, I have 2 mana accelerators into Rage Forger. And we are racing Burn. I might be capable of doing. A lot of this is going to depend on where my opponent's spells get pointed. Shaman. And do Ignoble Hierarch. I have a basic that I can play, which is nice. But I don't have any way to gain life in this deck. So, like, whatever damage my opponent deals to me, like, I have to try to do damage just as quickly. Play Goblin and Archaeomancer on my turn for 2 mana. Ooh, Skewers. Gonna be fast. If Spear crashes in. I've got 3 cards left. I'm at 10. So, we'll play Goblin and Archaeomancer next turn. Or, sorry, this turn. Followed by Elvish Visionary. Good. And Archaeomancer. Visionary. Definite Clattering Augur, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I do just have Rage Forger next turn. I guess I technically have Clattering Augur into it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. It's really kind of like 6 mana. I guess I could play Realm Walker into Rage Forger, right? 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Although, I kind of want to attack with the Hierarch. Because I need to deal damage very quickly. No blocks. I mean, I need this creature alive. I just can't take that risk. I can die this turn if my opponent plays, like, Bolt, Bolt, Fire Blast. There's Bolt. There's Fire Blast. Yeah, oh, actually, yeah, because of the prowess, that's just good enough. I basically have nothing for this. I could play Rex Sage, because that technically can blow up Eidolon. Just trying to race my opponent, which means getting one of Rage Forger or Judith into play ASAP. I don't know that I'm sideboarding. I still think I need Clattering Augurs for the card advantage and extra body they offer. 1 lander. I don't think I keep this one. Well, I keep this one. I guess throwing back a Cavern. It's just a question of, like, do I want to lose 2 life off of fetch lands, or do I want to play around Price of Progress? I'm going to toss back a... I'm going to toss back one of these. Alright, Forest go. I don't like the feel of this matchup. My deck isn't gold fishing as fast as my opponent's deck, I don't think. I'm going to take 1 to fetch a Taiga. And that is going to be the only time that I intend on fetching this game. Alright. I can't really block here. Oh, fuck, Searing Blaze is so good. Yeah. I'm gonna go to 13. And my opponent still has 5 cards in hand. Let's put that on Shaman. Pass the turn. I will attempt to ambush a Monastery Swiftspear in combat with an Endurance this time. There's another mountain. Let's see if I can surprise my opponent successfully. Or, well, I guess rather, let's see if this works is probably more accurate. I'm not going to do anything with its trigger. Alright, I'm moving to block successfully. Okay, cool. I ate the Swiftspear. Alright, the bolt is going at my face instead of killing Endurance. Probably correct. Oh, fuck. I can die this turn. Suspended Rift Bolt. Noted. I'll try to high roll with Visionary. No, actually I'm not. Let's do this. And I think I just am supposed to loop through my lands here. I have to find something of Rage Forger quality to end this game. Because I'm at 4 after this Rift Bolt resolves. Which should just mean that I'm dead right now, honestly. Alright, there is the price of progress. GG's. I suppose this is probably the ending point of this video, huh? Alright, overall thoughts on the deck list. Pretty smooth. I just don't think that this archetype is ever going to be good in Legacy, specifically. Mostly because if you kind of look at this deck doesn't race the faster decks in the combat. In the format, right? This isn't going to race your Storm decks. This isn't going to race Doomsday or Show and Tell. It's not even going to, like, race Burn, as we saw here, right? So if you can't race the best decks in the format, you need to be able to interact with them. And if we look at the interaction that's in this deck list, it's all in the sideboard, right? So while I think this is one of the better versions of Shamans that I have played in Legacy, I don't think the deck itself is particularly viable. I do think it is a lot of fun, but pretty much this entire card pool, minus some of the lands, is like modern legal as well, right? So I think this is a fringe deck in other formats that are, you know, even smaller than this one. I think trying to do it in Legacy is a push. But the build felt pretty smooth, especially after we subbed out the Aether Vials just for more raw mana sources. And I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, click the like button on your way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!